Good afternoon. Welcome to this week's edition of Africa in Focus. Myself, Kwame, a Ghanaian writer, broadcaster, journalist, entrepreneur, historian, and podcaster. And in this edition of Africa in Focus is tourism. We're looking at tourism. Yes, it's that time of year again, coming up to Christmas time, particularly if you live in the US, Canada, Europe, mainland Europe. Come to holiday season. And we are promoting tourism in Africa. We've been doing so for the past couple of years now. Rather than go to US on holiday or go to Canada or go to Europe, right? We are advising you listeners to go to an African country for your holidays. So as of Christmas coming up and New Year, we're going to bring you a couple of in the next week and this week and next week. Going to bring you a couple of cities in Africa that you must visit or put on your bucket list. All right. And in this week's episode of Tourism in Africa, African Focus, we're looking about the great city of Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. All right. So before I get to the show, just to give you some points that in next week's show, we'll be doing 2 shows next week. Another show on tourism, and then also we're previewing the Africa Cup of Nations, which kicks off in Morocco on the 21st of December. So we're doing you 2 podcasts this week. And then on the 22nd, we'll have Ghana in review for 2025. So what's happening in Ghana over the last 12 months. And then on the 29th of December, we'll have our preview or our review of Africa, the year on the African continent, 2025. Looking at countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Rwanda, etc. So look out for that. So look out for these podcasts coming up in the next few weeks here on Ghana, Africa in Focus. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. Tell your friends, family, social media networks. Subscribe to Ghana, Africa in Focus on YouTube. Subscribe to Ghana, Africa in Focus on Spotify. Look out for Ghana, Africa in Focus on Spotify. Click the follow button, and that means Spotify will notify you each and every time we upload a new podcast. Similarly, on YouTube, look out for Ghana African Focus on YouTube. Click the notification bell, and YouTube will notify you every time we upload a new podcast. Also, if you want to donate to the show to help us to continue to bring out some fantastic content from Ghana and from African content, you can donate as little as $3 a month. You can do it either as a monthly payment, or you can do it as a one-off payment. You're under no obligation. So we do accept donations in kind from yourself. So if you want to donate, you can click the donate button on the front to the show. All right. And if you still want to do business in Ghana, even come on holiday in Ghana, look at places to visit, to see what to do, then we do offer a service for you where we can, make a package for your needs. I've got more than 10 years experience of doing business in Ghana, so I do know a lot about the Ghanaian terrain. So if you want to book your appointment with myself, where we can signpost you, give you a lot of advice, and signpost you to some agencies that can help you with your relationship to Ghana, then you can email me, and I'll leave my email in the front of the show. All right, so let's get into this week's podcast, looking at tourism in Africa. This week, looking at the fantastic city of Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. Now, if you've never been to Addis before, you don't know what you're missing, yeah? Because take it from me, and I've been to Addis. I was there for about a couple of days in transit, but I spent a full day there as well. And it is a beautiful city, even compared to when I last was there, and that was 2013. Now, believe it or not, Addis Ababa, capital of Ethiopia, is better than London. Yes, indeed, it's better than London. It's better than Amsterdam. It's better than Madrid. Better than Barcelona. Better than Oslo. Better than Stockholm. Better than, a lot of European cities, believe it or not. Right? And I'll leave a couple of videos for you to look at for yourself to see how beautiful Addis Ababa really, really is. Yeah, because oftentimes people get a different narrative of Africa. And a lot of YouTubers are beginning to change that narrative of Africa. And here on Ghana, Africa in Focus, we are changing that narrative too by giving you reasons why you must visit Africa, this festive period, and definitely visit the city of Addis Ababa. So like I said, Addis Ababa is a fantastic modern African city. And, why does it stand out? Why you must visit Addis Ababa? Well, Addis Ababa is the diplomatic capital of Africa. It hosts the historic African Union building or headquarters that was first built in 1963. And, obviously since then, it's been renovated, I think more recently by the Chinese. And also it's home to the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, making Addis the continent's political nerve center. So Addis Ababa is also home to the National Museum of Ethiopia, where you can see Lucy. Lucy was one of the world's most early human remains, and that was quote unquote discovered. It was already there, but quote unquote discovered by the great British anthropologist Louis Leakey. And when Leakey wanted to find the origins of humanity, he didn't go to America, he didn't go to India, he didn't go to China, he didn't go to Australia, he went to Africa, because contrary to what many bigoted people think, and still maintain, Africa is the home of civilization, not Europe, not America, not Greece, not Rome, but Africa. Africa is the modern, or rather is the home of civilization and culture. And so Louis Leakey, the great British anthropologist, went to Ethiopia to, to do some anthropology and get to see the bones of this woman that he called Lucy. Her actual African name, her Ethiopian name was Dinknesh. Yeah, he gave her Lucy because obviously, as the Europeans do, they can't pronounce African names and want to put their names on things that they so-called discover. But she had the Ethiopian name called Dinknesh, yeah? And those bones were more than 3.5 million years old, yeah? However, as you keep on saying, Ethiopia is just a part of the African jigsaw, yeah? So humanity did not begin in Ethiopia. Humanity began in deep down Southern Africa. So where, currently South Africa is, that's deep down, the Khoisan, so-called bush people, Bushmen. They are the original people of the world, yeah? And where everyone comes from, yeah? They were the first human beings on the planet, the Sankoi, yeah? This is before then the migration up the Nile towards the Great Lakes area, where DR Congo, Uganda, Rwanda is, and then humanity also developed from there as well. But Ethiopia is like in the platform of African history or world history, Ethiopia is like Johnny come lately. Because if you dig bones from the Sankoi, yeah, people, they are millions of years old. This bone dug up by Louis Leakey that was already there in Ethiopia from Dinknesh, so-called Lucy, is 3.5 million years, yeah? Signifying that the black woman who we all come from is the oldest human being on the planet, yeah? Yeah, there's no human being who is before the black woman. Yeah, the African woman, black woman, is the original human being from where all human beings came from. So I would definitely recommend you go to the National Museum of Ethiopia, where you can see for yourself the bones of Dinknesh, so-called Lucy, called the Australopithecus afarensis in the Latin language. Again, on your trip to Ethiopia, Addis has a strong religious heritage, and the Holy Trinity Cathedral is a landmark of Ethiopian Orthodox Christianity with imperial tombs and stunning stained glass. Again, also, you can marvel at the beauty of Addis, because Addis Ababa is a rapidly transforming city with new infrastructure, a modern skyline that can rival anything in North America and Western Europe, and vibrant neighborhoods blending tradition with innovation. Now, like I said, I last went to Addis in 2013, and Addis Ababa has witnessed a rapid transformation within that 12-year period between 2013 and 2025. So when you go there this year or next year, you will see what I mean. Addis Ababa is a fantastic city with a modern skyline, new infrastructure, and also vibrant neighborhoods that complement the city. Now, Ethiopia, is another gateway. You could say it's part of gateway to Africa. So through Bale International Airport, which is one of Africa's busiest hubs, Addis connected to Ethiopia's diverse landscapes. So from the Rift Valley, lakes to the highlands. Now, when you get to Addis Ababa, these are things to do. So, like I said, you can explore the National Museum and Ethiopia's ancient history, which dates even before Egypt, yeah? Because as African historians, we say Egypt is the daughter of Ethiopia, meaning that Ethiopia came before Egypt, yeah? And a lot of the Egyptian culture is actually predicated on Ethiopian culture. And when I'm talking about Egyptian, I'm not talking about the Arabs who, control Egypt from the 25th dynasty. No, I'm talking about the indigenous Egyptians who are black like me, black like the ace of space, black like coal. They are the indigenous Egyptians, not Muhammad Salah, right? Not these fake half-caste Egyptians that you see, in today when you go to Cairo. No, they are imposters. The original Egyptians are black like ace of space. So, you can visit this museum to look at Ethiopia's ancient history that goes back 7 millennia. You can also visit like I said, the Holy Cathedral, Trinity, and see the tombs of Emperor Haile Selassie, who's the descendant of King Solomon, believe it or not. King Solomon, the Bible, yeah? If you believe the Bible, read the Bible, yeah? King Solomon, yeah? His descendant is or was Emperor Haile Selassie, the great Emperor of Ethiopia, who passed away, I believe, in the 70s or 80s, yeah? And also Empress Menem. So again, definitely worth a visit to the Holy Trinity Cathedral in Addis. You can also wander through Merkato, spelled Merkato, one of Africa's largest open markets. So in Ghana, we have Kilitia in Kumasi, which is a massive open market. But this one here in Addis is huge as well. Merkato, well worth a visit, yeah? And also, one thing about Addis Ababa, Ethiopia generally, is that the coffee culture is huge in Ethiopia and Addis. So again, when you visit to Addis Ababa, you can experience Ethiopian coffee culture in traditional cafes. And believe it or not, most of the coffee that is sold in the West, i.e. in coffee shops like Starbucks, Costa Coffee, Cafe Nero, actually comes from Ethiopia, places like Ethiopia, Rwanda, Kenya. Yeah, because Ethiopia, countries like Ethiopia, but particularly Ethiopia, has some of the world's best coffee. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend you going to a Ethiopian coffee shop and sampling the world famous Ethiopian coffee. Again, as part of the trip in Addis, you can discover modern Addis with its new parks, its lush green sites, its vibrant skyline, and culture centers. So why would you spend your time to go to Addis? So essentially, Addis Ababa is quite a unique capital in Africa. It's a very, very vibrant city with a rich culture and identity. And the name Addis Ababa means new flower in the Aramaic language, symbolizing Ethiopia's renewal and resilience. As I mentioned already, blended the old and new. So few cities in the world, let alone on the African continent, combine ancient heritage, i.e. Dinknesh or so-called Lucy, Orthodox churches, with modern African ambition, the skyscrapers and also the head of the AUA quarters, so seamlessly. Again, Addis Ababa is not just a city to visit, it's a gateway to Ethiopia's wider treasures. So you can go to Lalabella's rock-hewn churches and also the Simeon Mountains and the Rift Valley, which are outside Addis Ababa. So, as part of this great city, you also want to sample the Ethiopian food and also the nightlife. So, you know, Ethiopia is famous, or rather Addis Ababa, Ethiopia is famous for its cuisine. So some of the restaurants I can point that you go to and sample traditional Ethiopian food include Yod Abyssinia traditional restaurant. I'll put all this in, you know, in the funnels to the show, so you don't have to worry about the spelling. So Yod Abyssinia traditional restaurant, which is famous for cultural shows, live traditional music, and authentic Ethiopian cuisine. Another restaurant called 2000 Habita Culture Restaurant, another rest hotspot for injera, kitfo, and dance performances in a live setting. And also the Marcus Addis Restaurant and Sky Bar, which offers fine dining with panoramic views of the city centre, and also ideal for modern night out. There's also a Henan restaurant, highly rated fine dining spot, blending Ethiopian and international flavors. And there's also a Golden Plate restaurant within the Bole area. Bole is basically where the international airport is, and obviously it's part of the Bole facility. There are a number of really, really fantastic restaurants. Golden Plate restaurant is one of them, and that's known for its quality dishes and stylish atmosphere. Now, in terms of nightlife, yeah, there's a Flirt Lounge Addis, which is a stylish lounge with music and cocktails, and that's open to 4 a.m. in the morning. The Wave Club and Lounge, it's a popular late night club, again open to 5 a.m. in the morning. So with this, you know that Addis has a very, very vibrant nightlife and open to the very early hours. There's also another club called Roll X Lounge, a small but lively club on Namibia Street in Addis, and also Surrender Nightclub, well rated for its atmosphere and music, open to 4 a.m. in the morning. So this is just a flavor of, you know, some of the nightlife and restaurants in Addis Ababa. Definitely one of worth going to some of those restaurants and nightclubs, which blend tradition and modernity. So you can start your evening with a cultural dinner and live dance, and then move on to rooftop bar or nightclub. Again, if you've got a lot of energy, you could go clubbing. And as I mentioned, the clubs are open to about 5 a.m. in the morning, making Addis Ababa one of East Africa's most vibrant nightlife cities. So in short, Addis Ababa's food scene is rich with cultural restaurants and fine dining, while its nightlife offers everything from traditional dance houses to modern clubs that pulse until sunrise. And these clubs and nightlife can actually compete with anything on the African continent, let alone what we have in Europe or North America. So in short, I would recommend you go to Ethiopia, and particularly Addis Ababa, and sample the great culture, great history of Addis Ababa. So in short, Addis Ababa offers history, diplomacy, culture, and modern African energy all in one place, making Addis Ababa a compelling city for you to visit either this year or definitely next year. All right, so like I said, I'll put a couple of videos in the footnotes for you to have a look at, so you can see for yourself the splendor of Addis Ababa, and also I'll put in the footnotes to the show, you know, where you can go to eat, and also some of the nightlife things as well. All right, so this has been it for African Focus today, looking at tourism on the content. This week, we looked at Addis Ababa. Next week, I'll find another city for you, and we have a double billing for you, because we also will be talking about the forthcoming African Cup of Nations, which kicks off in Morocco on December the 21st. So we tell you, more about that in next week's show. So from then, up until then, from myself, Kwame, and from all the crew here on African Focus, thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to Ghana African Focus on YouTube, subscribe to Ghana African Focus on Spotify. All right, tell your friends, family, social media networks, and we'll see you next week for some more Africa in Focus.